Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling guilty, even though you weren't sure what you did wrong? Or maybe someone said something that made you question yourself, your memory, or even your worth. The truth is, manipulative people rarely control others through obvious threats. More often, they use words, small phrases, comments that seem harmless on the surface, but over time, they can slowly chip away at your confidence and make you easier to control. Today, let's talk about some of the most common toxic phrases manipulative people use and what they often mean underneath. This is one of the most common phrases emotionally manipulative people use. You express that something hurt you. You explain why you're upset, and instead of listening, they tell you that you're being dramatic, too emotional, too sensitive. The goal isn't to solve the problem. The goal is to make you doubt your reaction. And once you start questioning your feelings, it becomes easier for them to avoid responsibility. Nobody understands you like I do. At first, this sounds comforting, even romantic. But sometimes it's a way to create dependence. The message becomes, you don't need anyone else. Other people don't really care about you. Only I truly understand you. Over time, this can distance you from friends, family, and support systems. And isolation often makes manipulation easier. After everything I've done for you, healthy relationships don't keep score. Manipulative people often do. They remind you of favors, sacrifices, acts of kindness, not because they genuinely want appreciation, but because they want leverage. The hidden message is, you owe me, and guilt becomes a tool for control. You're lucky to have me. Confidence is healthy, but some people take it much further. They act as if they're doing you a favor simply by being in your life. They make it seem like nobody else would want you, or that you'll never find someone better. This isn't confidence. It's an attempt to lower your self-worth while raising their own importance. Don't let this go to your head. Imagine sharing good news, a promotion, an achievement, something you're proud of, and instead of celebrating with you, someone immediately minimizes it. They point out flaws. They downplay your success, or they act unimpressed. Sometimes this happens because your success makes them uncomfortable. Your growth threatens the version of you they can control. Everyone agrees with me. Have you ever heard this one? Everybody thinks you're difficult. Everyone says the same thing. You're the only one who doesn't see it. The problem is that you rarely get to hear from these mysterious everyone. Manipulative people sometimes use invisible crowds to strengthen their argument. Because if it sounds like many people agree, you're more likely to doubt yourself. Even when there's no evidence. I was only trying to help. Not every piece of criticism is manipulation, but sometimes people hide cruelty behind concern. They insult you, judge you, undermine you, and when you react, they say, "I'm just being honest. I'm only trying to help." The intention isn't always support. Sometimes it's simply criticism disguised as kindness. "You wouldn't survive without me." This phrase doesn't always appear directly. Sometimes it's implied. They make you feel incapable, dependent, helpless. They convince you that leaving them would be a disaster, that nobody else would support you, that you'll fail on your own. But healthy relationships empower people. They don't make them feel trapped. That's not what happened. Memory isn't perfect. But if someone constantly rewrites reality whenever they're confronted, that's a problem. You remember a conversation. They deny it happened. You remember something hurtful. They claim you're imagining things. Over time, repeated denial can make people lose trust in their own experiences. And that's exactly why it's so damaging. "I'm doing this because I care about you." This might be the most confusing phrase of all, because sometimes it's true, but sometimes it's used to justify harmful behavior, control, jealousy, criticism, manipulation. The reality is simple. Caring about someone doesn't excuse hurting them. Love and control are not the same thing, and concern should never require fear. The pattern matters more than the phrase. Here's something important to remember. Anyone can say one of these phrases during a bad day. Nobody communicates perfectly. What matters is the pattern. Is this happening repeatedly? Do you constantly feel guilty, confused, or small after interacting with this person? Do they take responsibility for their behavior? Or do they always find a way to blame someone else? Patterns reveal far more than isolated words. Manipulation isn't always loud. Sometimes it's subtle. A comment here, a phrase there, a small moment that leaves you questioning yourself. And that's why awareness is so important. Because once you recognize these patterns, they begin losing their power. So tell us, have you ever heard any of these phrases in real life? And how did they make you feel? Remember, healthy relationships help you trust yourself more, not less.